Well, welcome. My name is Amanda Johnston, and I am the founder and executive director of Torch Literary Arts. Thank you so much for joining us tonight for Tending the Flame, 19 years of Torch Literary Arts. Wow, I had to take a moment to take that in. For 19 years, Torch Literary Arts has been a resource and destination for Black women writers and all lovers of literature and creative storytelling. Tonight, we'll hear from Torch's features from across the years who've shared their incredible writing through our digital publication, Torch Magazine, and at special events, again, throughout 19 years of service. To celebrate our anniversary month, each of tonight's features will share their original work and brief comments on the importance of Torch and its lasting impact. Sorry, I'm a bit emotional. I knew this would happen. It is something that I do not take lightly. Having a space for and by Black women writers. If we don't understand now, today, how precarious that can be, how under threat that can be. I don't know when, but what we do know is that our joy and our love and our persistence to have this thing called community, our greatest technology, is how we're able to be here together after all these years, and will continue to be here well into the future. So obviously we'll have much to discuss. We'll hear wonderful readings. And anyone in the audience who has questions, please do use the Q&A tab at the bottom of your screen, and we will answer some of those questions at the end. But up first, please help me welcome Amina Gautier. Amina Gautier is the author of 4 short story collections, At Risk, Now We Will Be Happy, The Loss of All Lost Things, and The Best That You Could Do. She has received the Blackwell Prize, the Chicago Public Library Foundation's 21st Century Award, the Flannery O'Connor Award for Short Fiction, International Latino Book Awards, and the Cambilio Soft Skull Publishing Prize in Fiction, the Penn Award for Excellence in Short Story, the Prairie Schooner Book Prize, and the Phyllis Wheatley Award. A recipient of fellowships from the American Antiquarian Society, the Camargo Foundation, the Chateau de la Vigne, Flamboyant Foundation, Fadonza, Boleasco, the Maison Dora Mar, and the McDowell Colony, the Mellon Foundation, and the Woodrow Wilson Foundation. She teaches at the University of Miami. Please welcome Amina Gautier.
Thank you so much, Amanda. Congratulations to Torch on 19 years, and clearly we hope that there'll be 19 more years and 19 years plus that. I am going to read for 5 minutes a short story in the collection, The Best That You Can Do, called We Ask Why. Come summer, we're getting packed up and shipped out, sent off to Puerto Rico, where our father is from, and where he has long been living ever since he left us. We haven't seen him in years. We have no desire to see our father now. We ask our mother why we have to go and give up our fast approaching summer. We ask why she can't just leave well enough alone. We've already made our summer plans. We've aired out our swim trunks, bathing suits, and shower shoes. We're ready for horseplay at the nearby public pool, for holding our breath underwater, for playing Marco Polo, for trying to dunk every kid we see. We're ready for the deep end of the pool. This is better than the pool, she says, setting out our after-school snack. You'll have beaches instead. There's nothing but beaches there. We ask, can't we just go to Coney Island or Rockaway Beach instead? She says, we're never going back there. Last summer, those beaches were overrun by medical waste, polluted with hypodermic needles and syringes that had washed ashore. We were used to the occasional baby diaper floating by as we played in the water, but needles filled with AIDS were where our mother drew the line. The beaches where you're going will be clean. We ask her how she knows if she's never been. All she says is, trust me. But how can we trust her after she's pulled this dirty trick of waiting until our summer vacation was close enough to taste and then dropping this surprise upon us? We were hoping this would be the summer we'd be tall enough to ride the cyclone in Astroland Park. But instead of speeding down the curves, loops, and turns of the wooden roller coaster, we'll be going to LaGuardia to fly to a place we've never been, to see a man we convince ourselves we don't even miss. We push away our plates and try to change her mind. We tell her, we'll be bored. She says, I can't make either one of you interesting. We tell her we'll be lonely. She says, you'll have each other. We say, that's not enough. We'll miss hanging out with other kids. We don't want to leave our friends. She says, there'll be plenty of other kids. You'll get to meet your other brothers and sisters. We ask, how many? She says, 4 so far, at least as far as I know. She says, your father doesn't waste time. She leaves us in the kitchen with our questions and heads off to her room. We follow and watch as she pulls down the suitcase from the top of her bedroom closet and carries it down the hallway and into our room. We linger in our doorway as she starts to pack our bag. From the bottom of her closet, she pulls out sneakers, sandals, and jellies. From our lower drawers, she takes our t-shirts and denim shorts. From the upper drawers, she pulls our undershirts, underwear, and folded socks. She packs like she means business. We ask if we really have to go. She says, the ticket's already paid for, and we know what that means. We ask why she is doing this to us. We don't even know him, we say. She says, of course you do, and balls 8 pairs of our socks, tosses them into the belly of the suitcase, changes her mind, and takes them back out. We knew him once, when we were babies, when we were toddlers, when he was simply there and we didn't know that time with him would wisp into memory. We do not remember his face. We cannot recall his touch, his kiss, his voice. We have no memories of his love. All we know is that we'll be flying alone together, wearing tags around our necks so the flight attendants know to keep an eye on us as we unaccompanied minors accompany each other to see our father because our mother wants us to have a relationship with him, even though she couldn't. We ask why she chose him in the first place. We ask her why they married. We ask if they were in love. I was, she says. I think he was too. For a time, anyway. We ask her what went wrong. Too many things, she says. For starters, I thought he was black. Technically, he is, but it's not the same. There are many shades of black, and he was a different shade from me. He was black, she says, but not African American. Black from an island, black with splashes of Spaniard and hints of Taino, black in a way he could ignore when he chose, black in a way that misled her into thinking they could make it a go, but kept him looking at his wife and children as if they were strangers, black in a way that was not binding, that could not bind him to us and make him stay. She snaps our suitcase closed and tells us what it's like to compete with an island, to love a man with oceans in his eyes and the horizon in his heart. She says, you just can't win. We hate him, we say. She says, he won't care. We say, we won't go. She says, that's what you think. We ask, who'll look after us? She says he won't let any harm come to us while we're in his care. We ask her who will kiss us goodnight. She laughs. It certainly won't be him. We ask her if he'll feed us. She says he's not going to let you starve. We ask her if he'll love us. She says, how could I possibly know? Thank you. So, a few thoughts about Torch very briefly, which has been very important to me. I'm going to use a quote from Zora Neale Hurston. So, when Nanny in Zora Neale Hurston's Their Eyes Were Watching God tells her granddaughter, Janie, the Black woman is the mule of the world, she's referencing the ways in which Black women are often called upon to carry the load for others, to do all the backbreaking work that allows other people to and other cultures to flourish. So for me, being a part of the Torch community is a reminder that we can drop that load or allow others to carry ours. And supporting Torch literary arts means supporting writers and artists who are often doing that heavy lifting. Thank you.
Oh my gosh. Thank you, Amina. That was beautiful. Thank you so much. All right, y'all. Up next, we have Kelly Harris-DeBerry. Kelly Harris-DeBerry is a poet, freelance writer, independent scholar, and owner of KHD Communications. As a poet, curator, teacher, and businesswoman, her work spans from poetry to nonprofit consulting. She holds a BA in communications and an MFA in creative writing. She is the author of Freedom Knows My Name and the chapbook Homegirl. Her work has been published in various journals, including Torch Magazine. And her poem, Post Katrina Blues, has been translated and displayed in Germany. The Cave Canem Fellow has worked as an advisor to the Smithsonian's Literary Mapping Project and mentor for Literary Cleveland's Breakthrough Residency. Please welcome Kelly Harris-DeBerry.
Good evening. Happy 19th to Torch. I hope everybody can hear me okay. Good? We're good. Tomorrow is the 20th anniversary of Hurricane Katrina, so I thought that I would read a poem for the city of New Orleans. The water next time. The water next time might be in your city, visiting you like a cousin from the South, knocking at your door with a gulp of river, the rum of death rising in your nose. It's hard to scream and survive without becoming water's face turned to rage. God or government, who names our suffering? Who are we but children breaking water? You've cried like this entering your mother's front door. I would ask if you swim in the deep, but you've looked away so many times, tucking care under your tongue, pointing at disaster as if it were proof that death is location, a coastal choice. But don't you see from way up north, water is water, a passport of its own. This liquid life has come to pour. Ask Flint, New Orleans, how water makes a city a casket, fading into the wash of the world. Oh, dear snow angels facing the sky, soon you will taste the global thaw. High-speed winters, I want to warn you, nightmares come true. Earth could have been more than a purse holding king-size living. How did our seeds grow into fire? Who heated the land and drained the clouds? Who shoved our hills into the sea? Who filed the earth down to the bone? We, the water, we, the wounded. And this next poem, short poem, is a mantra of how I approach writing and how I teach. So, language should be liquid. Language should be liquid. Language should be liquid. Don't you lay down on that paper bed. Language should be liquid. Run on that sentence until you free your hands. Language should be liquid. Ain't you heard the king's English is dead? Language should be liquid. Don't you let that school put all those poems in your head. Language should be liquid. You can form that poem with your body instead. Language should be liquid. Don't you write a book with your life misread. Language should be liquid. Your mind is a spine. Stand up if you dare. Language should be liquid. Your ear can hear much better than you said. Happy 19th, Torch. When I think of Torch, I think of Black women who are chronic caretakers. And most of us, we're on the front lines of everybody's lives. And the people who we care for are not invested in writing the way that we are. They want our dreams to exist. They want us to be happy, but they don't have the capacity to support us as writers oftentimes the way that we need to be supported. But Torch, I see Torch as the caretaker for Black women writers, almost a literary doula, if you will. And so, because of Torch, we have somewhere to go to be cared for ourselves. And so, I am just so proud and happy to have been a part of this. It takes courage, it takes endurance to last for 19 years in anything. So, thank you, Torch. Thank you, Amanda. And I hope that you have many, many, many more.
Oh my gosh, what a wonderful treat. This is what I'm saying. Kelly, thank you for that. In our poems, in our songs, in our stories, in our souls, in our hearts, this work is not separate from our being, right? And you can't do something like that without knowing how tethered we are to the work and to each other. Thank you so much, Kelly. That was absolutely beautiful. Oh, and we got one more incredible feature guest tonight. Please welcome Lenelle Moïse. Lenelle Moïse is a poet, playwright, and songwriter. She wrote the romantic comedy Kissing, winner of the 2023 Elliot Norton Award for Outstanding New Script, a national finalist for the 2024 Steinberg American Theater Critics Association New Play Award, and an international finalist for the 2024 Susan Smith Blackburn Prize. The full play script of Kissing is published in the spring 2025 issue of American Theater magazine. Moïse wrote, composed, and co-starred in the critically acclaimed off-Broadway play Expatriate. Her script, Merit, won the Southern Rep Ruby Prize, an accomplished solo performer, and she has been a guest artist at dozens of colleges and arts venues, including Poets House, Lincoln Center, and the Norton Museum. Her book of poems, Haiti Glass, City Lights Books, won the Penn Oakland Josephine Miles Literary Award. And I have to properly say the name of your play, Kissing.
Thank you.
Please welcome Lenelle Moïse.
Thank you so much, Amanda. And thank you to Amina and Kelly. Kelly, I'm also thinking about New Orleans today. And so I'm going to share a poem from Haiti Glass. It's called Where Our Protest Sound. Jazz is underwater, Vodou Atlantis mute, aborted ultrasound, fetal fish in flood, Haiti's first cousin forcibly kissed by a hurricane called Katrina. Hot winds come one fat Tuesday, old levee leak explodes, fixing funds gone to homeland, security, soldiers stationed in Iraq said, jazz is underwater, days like laissez-faire, mana does not fall, saviors do not save, hunger prays to rage for resilience, improvisation improvisational genius implodes. Anarchy duets with despair, bassist fingers lute. Nimble like a deft pianist said, Vaudou Atlantis mute. The fragile eardrums of instant orphans get inundated with someone else's mama's soprano saxophone screams. Meanwhile, televised tenor voices report monotonous drone to drown out the deafening beat of funeral marchers can't swim. Bloated trumpet carcasses, a singer swallows human sewage, her last note, a curse, oh America, aborted ultrasound, cacophonous warning, scatter brains. Pedestrians hear calls to evacuate, escape, and think, how fast can on foot run? The poor, the weary just drown. Abandoned elders just drown. People in wheelchairs just drown. The sick in bed cannot leave. Their doctors stay behind too. New emergencies engulf the ER. Swamped hospitals ain't hostels, ain't shelters. Resources slim like hope. Nurses stay behind too. Their loyal partners will not leave. Ill-fated rejects just drown, said fetal fish in flood. Outside, a breaking willow weeps like a father on his rooftop, murmuring his wife's last words. Clutch tight to our babies and let me die, she had pleaded. You can't hold on to us all. Let me die. She too, like jazz, is underwater. Her love, her certainty will haunt him, their children's survival, a scar. Sanity also loses its grip. Guilt weight like cold, wet clothes. 80% of New Orleans submerged. Debris lingers, diseases loom, said days like laissez-faire. Mana does not fall. Shock battles suicide thoughts. Some thirsty throats cope, manage dirges in Cajun, in Zydeco. Out of state kin can't get through. Refugees. Refugees remember ruined homes. A preacher remembers the book of Revelations still. Saviors wait to save, and the living wade with the countless dead, while a wealthy president flies overhead up where brown people look like spoiled jambalaya stewing from a distance in their down there distress, said he's free, high up, far up, vacation fresh, eagle up, up, and away from the place where our protest sound started. Still sings American music, gurgling cyclone litanies. Man cannot prevent the man cannot hear. And I will offer a second poem, a newer poem about New Orleans. I got to visit New Orleans earlier this year in April. I love that city so much. I loved it all over again. And so this poem is called What the Cajun Said. Miss your cheap beads in trees, New Orleans, your molasses smoke mixed with oil refinery breeze, your dipping second line knees, brass pleading in a still dark morning, sweet city of break, a fall. Met a blonde divorcee in the Marigny, drunk as a burning plantation, her sandals grimy, her voice grinding whiskey all up in my face. She cheered, I'm a little sad but free. Hey, city of wipe yourself off and twerk, city of give up a toothless ghost. Miss your who dat, hot breath, your yeah, you're right lick, New Orleans, the black and gold of your deafening sports bar. You wrap me up in bassist arms, buy me a sip of top shelf, your trumpets and fiddles beg me for change. This poem, all I got. Found God in you twice, a clear, quick black lady holding a tambourine, kissing my blues awake with each pound, shake, shake, pound, shake, shake, shake. Saw a Cajun man fly 10 feet high above my head, making it swim. Next day, he took me to the levees, our eyes as drowned as trees. You love me, belly full and gut laugh, New Orleans. Come here, you said. Everyone else has since Katrina. We'd prefer an artist like you. City of thrust, salt, and lick yourself. City of bounce and spells. City of the hard knock, secret knock, red rice and Creole, street dice and bones. This plain, no match for our love. For our love, I want to say thank you to Torch Literary Arts. You have given me a home. Today, I found myself looking up the word canon, and I found the second definition, which meant a collection of or a list of sacred books accepted as genuine, or the list of works considered to be permanently established as being of the highest quality. And so, Torch makes us a canon. It makes our work legitimate and visible to each other and for ourselves. It is an affirmation of the Black woman who writes, the Black woman who writes quilts, who writes maps, who writes seeds and veins and darkness and brilliance. I am so thankful for you, Torch. Thank you.
Oh, y'all made me get the fan out. I've been over here at church, Thank you so much. I've been cracking it. It's been church up in here, a testimony. And I am so grateful for each and every one. Yes, fan, where them fans at? Make you pull them out. But this is exactly what we need, right? What we all need, especially when times are heavy and dark. Write freely, speak freely, create and dance and sing. Hold on to yourself, pull in others, right? I've been chatting with folks, we're all talking about these times we are in as good artists should be doing, in my opinion. And folks are like, how, when, what we going to do? And I just keep saying, as long as we have our voices and as long as we push out what needs to be said, what we dream about, what we create, as long as the poems are there, then I have hope. And it's a reason why all of that is under attack, right? So we can't take lightly that we're able to even gather in this digital space, in this virtual room with each other. But we are here and it is glorious, right? Oh my gosh. So I see one question in the Q&A. I'm going to give some folks time. We've got a couple folks in the audience. If you have questions you want to address to the features or to me to ask about Torch, we're celebrating 19 years of Torch Literary Arts. And this is a great opportunity to ask questions. I'm going to share some updates and announcements for those who are in the room. Come tonight, you'll be hearing some things first in here. But before we get into that, I would love for us just to chat a little bit more. And I wanted to ask you all, as a perfect note to transition to this question I have from Canon about archive, right? And so one of the things that Torch has done with the tools and resources we had the best we could is to save the work, right? And still have it available in PDFs and, things are here, but we're working on improving our archive so that it remains accessible, is living and available to anyone around the world, no paywall, to be able to get this good work. So if you could share a little bit about your thoughts on the importance of the archive, and especially for Black women writers and our work.
I'll jump in. If you don't archive yourself, they'll say you weren't there. I mean, that's the way, that is where we are right now. And so it's not just enough to say that, to tell our history, we have to have proof. And it's really important to have archives. We're talking about New Orleans, I'm here, and so many things were lost, that we couldn't get back, but we still had a lot of the oral stories. But what I will say is that archiving is a part of our survival. It truly is. And so as Black women are being attacked in every sector of the world right now, it is important that we are able to proclaim and to say and to prove that we were here. And so that the next generation, like my daughter and others, will be able to look to us and say, I can do that. I can make a torch myself. Yeah.
I'll say a little bit, like, I think that there are so many different ways to think about the word. archive. Like one, the accumulating and collecting material in one place, but archive is also a form of documentation. So there's a way in which the writing itself, the poetry, the fiction, the essay, the play is an actual archive of a cultural and a historic moment. And I think it's important to keep that in mind, because one of the things that writing does is it prevents, politicians, naysayers, whoever you might want to say, from like erasing a historical period, saying that something didn't happen. You can change, history books, you can change newspapers, but there will always be a literary archive that exists simultaneously to sort of say this is what writers were capturing and rendering and thinking about. So writing itself is a form of archiving, right? Archiving a specific cultural moment. And to back up what Kelly said, like if you don't have an archive, they'll say that you weren't there. And but if you don't have an archive, they'll say that you don't matter, right? The whole point of an archive is saying that this thing that has happened in the past is worth keeping and it's worth preserving, right? So just the fact of creating one is sort of saying that this moment or this document or this journal has intrinsic value that exists beyond its current moment in time.
Yes, absolutely. I agree with all of that. And I think a lot about, I mean, first of all, I go to that archive all the time still. I revisit the Torch magazine archive and sort of look back. This morning, I did it for 2006. My poems were published in the fall 2006 issue of Torch. And I think it's a time capsule to sort of look back at that moment, and it's also timeless. It's also this modern reflection. I mean, in a lot of ways, we are still telling the same stories. We are still wanting the same recognition for our lived experience as Black women. There's something that we have in common with our ancestors and with our forebears. And so, yeah, it's just this brilliant space of timelessness and also a space for time. So we need it. We need the archive. Yeah.
Yes, no, agreed. And it's so, I think what we're seeing now too is not just that the archive is important, but it is important to be kept in multiples and in different ways. And
Yes.
that takes funding and resources, right?
Yes.
So we're seeing, what we had thought for many, many years of the safe bastions for holding our historical letters, art, works, and things are so quickly being erased, removed, taken down, language changed, right? So it is important to, if you care about preserving the truth, that's what we're talking about, the actual history, and it's just not meant to be comfortable. It's meant to be the truth, right? And in our creative works, we are able to touch into a universal truth that speaks on a human level, right? That vibration. That's why it's so powerful. But having that exist in multiple spaces and spaces outside of institutions. So I can say in the 19 years that Torch has existed, we have been intentional, myself as the founder and ED and our board of directors and advisors, of not being housed under or within some other institution, that we needed to keep our autonomy, that we are in charge of our space and our works, and that has allowed us to also be nimble and flexible and not change. Our mission is the same, that we are here to amplify and support Black women writers. Our space is a home that creates community for all of us, where we say all lovers of literature and creative storytelling. That's the world, right? And so as Black women do, when a rising tide lifts all boats, when you support Black women and you support Black women writers at Torch, you are making a better space for all writers, for all creators, for all artists. But we want to be in control of maintaining and sharing our archive so no one can change our narrative,
Mm.
right? All right. I want to ask one more question, and I see now we have two in the Q&A. But in that, talking about the archive, I'm talking about history and preserving that. Let's change our focus to the future, right? So with so many advancements, there's some AI and things still have yet to be seen what, what that will end up being. But the future, Black women will be in the future. We know this, but what would you say is your um, ideas of what is most important, maybe for us to lean into when thinking about the future of our work? And what is your hope for Black women writers in the future? Those who will be seeing the hologram of this conversation in the Torch Archive.
All I have to say is I love you. I mean, that's what I have to say to the future.
Yes,
I
I
love
love
you, and that's why I wrote. I love you, and that's why I read. I love you, and that's why I'm talking to you from the ancestral realm. Um, I love you, future. I believe in you.
Mm.
One of my hopes for the future of the way would be about the ways in which Black women are depicted in literature. So I would hope that in the future, our multiplicity would be celebrated, highlighted, depicted, and understood. Um, and when I speak of our multiplicity and also our complexity, right, that we will have even more spaces in literature where Black women are not stand-ins for other characters, where they're not symbols of something, sex, fertility, etc., where the range of our voices is captured, and we're not just like a sassy first person, type of voice, and all the different ways we speak from all our different backgrounds are all recognized as credible, authentic, natural, and when we don't occupy an ancillary role, where we're not solely in a story to be a wing woman or a person who helps someone else, a character who helps some other character get to where they need to go, where we're not just limited to like sex symbols or wise women. So my hope would be that the future would celebrate, recognize and celebrate all the different parts of us.
Amen. Yes.
Mhm. My hope is that the way that Black people have survived is through staying connected. Despite technology, it has been the porch talks, the dinners at Big Mama's house on Sundays. It's been church in all kinds of forms, both in tradition and to, let's say, maybe Congo Square. And so
Mhm.
my hope is that we can maintain our we as best as we can, that we will allow ourselves to stay connected heart to heart, voice to voice, that we will not allow technology to govern us, that we will still have independent thinking, that we will cherish ourselves, that we will cherish flesh to flesh human contact. So I that's my hope. And my hope is that we have courage beyond talent, that we have courage, because it's going to take that to survive. We can't do anything without courage. And so, as scary as it might be, whether it's a car driving by itself, that's scary to me.
Yeah, all over Austin.
Whatever administration is in power, that we have courage, and that we know that we've survived before, again and again and again. So staying connected, remembering, and having courage.
I know
I
that's right.
offer to that, courage is technology. Call and response is technology. Big Mama's Sunday brunch was technology. And I think it's also just remembering that we've always had technology. It hasn't always been invasive. Sometimes it's been connective. And so, yeah, let's reconnect in those
Mhm.
tangible, sexy ways, you know? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I just want to say one thing about courage. I mean, Amanda, you stepped out on faith to do this. And I remember what you model for me and model for I think so many people is that you have shown us that we have to dream in increments and that you can't bite it all, you can't take it all on all the time. And because you can't make the big home run, you don't get discouraged by that. You take swings. You're
Mhm.
as my husband often says, can we just move up the field? Do we have to make a touchdown every time? And I'm like, yes, but no, but what I'm saying
Yeah.
is that I have seen you take the incremental steps,
Mm.
whether it was, I remember when Torch first came out to now you institutionalizing it, right? And so that shows us that we can't do it all like at one time. Like our dream has to have phases. You have to pivot. Sometimes you have to push. And so
Mhm.
I think that that is what many Black women have to do, right? We can't, depending on if you're a mother, depending on if you're, if you have a partner, all of these different things, right? Depending on your job, like all those
Mhm.
things determine and craft how you dream or when you can do it and what time. So I just want to thank you for showing us that and like showing that it can be done, but it doesn't have to be done all at once.
Mm.
Oh, thank you, Kelly. No, you're absolutely right. It doesn't have to be done all at once, but you do have to start. Now, I'll say that that's my hope too for the future and those watching this. You're seeing something that was even at 19 years, this is still a beginning, right? Because you grow, you make those advancements, and then you see the next goalpost, you see the next, over the hill, right? You see the next thing, and that next thing is always us, right? Torch has always been committed to being intergenerational, being inclusive across our intersecting identities, right? When we say the diaspora, we mean the diaspora. But like you said, Kelly, at the beginning, what I had capacity and resources for was I knew how to build websites. I used to do freelance websites, and it was truly, if you build it, they will come. So I made the website, and you all came and continued to come. And then when we were able to do more, we did more. We're able to grow, we grow. Now we have a beautiful partnership since we relaunched in 2022. And that's why for some folks who might be saying 19 years, why am I just now hearing about Torch? Well, for the first 15 years, it was the online publication and a few readings here and there. That's what I had capacity for as an independent volunteer founder ED. But with the pandemic, like the globe did, the world did, we all had to sit down. And I sat down too and had some personal reflection, went through some personal losses, as many of us did during that time. And I talked to my board and I said, maybe we need to close. I'm seeing big for-profits and major nonprofits folding and struggling. What can we do now? Maybe 15 years was great and you know, we can turn this archive over to someone else. But I'm so grateful for our incredible board. It has now grown as well. But for them having the wisdom and vision and for us to have the conversation and say, no, actually, this is not a time to take something else away from us when we're losing so much. So we leaned in during the pandemic. And in 2022, we relaunched and said we're going to do more. And that's when we got our 501c3 nonprofit status, well, effective 2021 fall. We were able to fundraise. We were able to redesign our publishing model. So whereas before we would do one issue a year, I think maybe 1 or 2 years, we did 2 issues. But now we publish over 40 features a year and all are paid. We pay $150 for each feature, which if you're in the literary world, journals are not paying, and that is still that's a bill That's something. And we want to continue to grow that, right? Because your work is valuable and you should be compensated for your artistry, right? The incredible programs we're able to deliver, the annual retreat. We just celebrated our third retreat, welcoming fellows. We've now supported 22 fellows, but for that diaspora, that global impact, we launched in partnership with Texas State University and the Irish Consulate in Culture Ireland, the Writers Across the Diaspora program. And our first event last fall, in 2024, last year, we welcomed Nithi Casa and Feli Speaks from Dublin. So to have these incredibly talented Black women writers come to Austin, share their work and readings and workshops and fellowship with the writers here, we're able to truly lean into that cultural exchange and find each other no matter where we are. And so as we look towards the future as well, my wish is this birthday anniversary month is that Black women, again, across our intersecting identities, right? So how you are connected to your community of Black women, is that you find us no matter where you are, no matter where you are in the world, and you know the torch is here for you. We want to hear from you. We want to read your work. We want to amplify you and your work, and we want to welcome you home. So with that, let me go to, we have two questions that I see here in the Q&A. The first one says, does Torch serve as a resource for querying agents seeking Black debut authors? So we don't send out, but we do have agents following us. So they follow the magazine, they follow the works that we do. And on occasion, we have folks reach out, inquiring, can I have contact information for so-and-so? And just know we are so happy to do that. So again, that's part of our mission, is to amplify the features that we publish. And also with the relaunch of the magazine, we also now nominate for awards. So we know that that's another barrier to our careers, right? Is those very important nominations that often you have to have a publisher nominate you to even be considered. So Torch nominates for Best of the Net, the O. Henry Prize, the Pushcart Prize, which we've only been doing that now for 3 years, and we have celebrated 2 Pushcart Prize recipients from Torch Magazine. And we also nominate for the A.K. O'Kane Prize. So if you're not familiar with that prize, that is a global prize for writers from the African diaspora who have either one parent from the continent, but they can live anywhere in the world. And that's something, we want to make sure we're saying your name. So I hope that answered your question, but we don't send out queries. We don't rep our features that way, but we definitely amplify. We want to put your work in front of as many people when the inquiries come, and by nominating for prizes in addition to being published. The next question is not fully related to literature. I'm sure it is, but how do we find spaces that feed us, especially when many spaces ask us to emotionally labor disproportionately to others? Ooh, how do you find your homes? How do you find your spaces? I have to say, again, from Torch's perspective, we've been very intentional. Like, our mission is our mission. We support and amplify Black women writers. Our programs that we promote and share to the community for all to come and enjoy, the open mics, the readings, and the workshops, all of those things are out there. So for those who are looking for a community, that we're clear on who we are so that you can find us. I'm glad you're here now. I'm glad you found us into this virtual space. But for me, when I'm looking for places to also go and support and be a part of, I would say I'm looking for intentionality. I'm looking for not just a clear statement on a program or description, but I'm looking at your history and who all gonna be there, who all over there, as they say. And that's one of the things I find comfort in when I see us there, when I see Black women there. and they say, yes, yes, no, this is a place for us, then I can trust it. And it helps me find my people. So I'll put that to the other incredible folks in the room. How do you find your spaces? How do you find space that feeds you?
Um, I'll just add to the question that was being asked and say that first of all, you have to know that you need to be fed, right? And you have to accept that and be okay with that. So what I mean is, you have to think about how will I be fed at the individual place that I attend? So just if we just carry the food metaphor, right? Like you go out with your friends and you eat, and that's like a certain type of experience. And then on Sunday night, you come home, right? And you eat with your family and you eat with your people, right? So I think one thing we need to keep in mind, right, is that while we're out there feeding other people or eating with other people, that we do need to make sure that we feed ourselves. And how do we find those places? Sometimes it just takes just finding one place, like right now, whoever is watching this, and then making sure that you're not being greedy with the space and that you're being generous with it, right? That you're not saying that you're not thinking of a world in which you're the only one, right? Like we should never want to be the only one, right? We find something that's good, like you come to a torch event or something like that, and you meet other writers, and maybe somebody else there has been to Hurston Wright or Kimbilio or some other like safe sanctuary space for a Black person, then they should be sharing that and telling that, oh well, if you like this, you might like this too, or like that we should be amplifying that and not trying to sort of like hoard those safe spaces. So that's one of the ways in which we make sure we get fed, we feed other people.
I love that. Yes, no gatekeeping. And we love to do that. We definitely share. So if you don't already, if you're watching this and you don't already subscribe to our newsletter, that's another great place to get information. We do put information opportunities for folks to attend other workshops, retreats, readings, submission calls for submissions. That's a great place to find places to send work to or to show up in. But that's the other part too, just showing up. The revolution does not happen from your couch, nor does your career develop and your community grow from your couch. So you do have to show up. And sometimes that can feel risky, but be brave. What was that word, Kelly? Courage.
Courage.
Courageous. Show up. Put yourself in the mix and let great things happen.
I just want to add that if I don't know who asked the question, but I often go back to Langston Hughes's The Negro Artist and the Racial Mountain, because I think what he writes in there is that we have to be okay if we're not accepted. But we got to keep it moving just the same, right? If they embrace us, they embrace us. If they don't, they don't. But I also do think the internet will have you believing that every Black woman is like, hey, sis, that every Black woman is like, girl, let me fix your crown and all of those memes that are out there. But the truth is that you're going to have some experiences that are hurtful and harmful from just people. And so the task is to still be courageous again, right? And to like, dust it off and keep it moving, so if you're not willing to be at least a little bruised, then you may not get to that end, but it's worth it in the end. It's worth it in the end.
When
So
you find your people, it is so, so worth it.
yes.
And you will know that when you are able to show up in your authentic self, but June Jordan said your whole self, you bring your
Yeah.
whole self into the room, then you know you found your people in your place.
Hmm.
But I love that too, reciprocity though, feeding into it, what you want out of it. Are you showing up and feeding into that? Right. Folks will ask me, just about career, right, and how to build a literary career and where do you start? And I say, first, you have community. Where do you go to listen to other people's works? Are you in workshops and giving feedback and supporting? Do you show up to readings when you're not reading? Right. Um, that's where you build community. And I'll say a million times, yes, I have the MFA. Yes, I've done a lot of different workshops and retreats, but the most wonderful things that have come to me, opportunities where I've been able to learn and grow and share, collaborate, have come from a suggestion, a recommendation, or invitation from my community. Well, we are here at time, about four minutes left, but I don't see any more questions there. This has been truly beautiful. Thank you so much, Amina, Kelly, Lenelle. Thank you, everyone who joined us this evening. I promised a few announcements. If you haven't seen, if you're not, again, you gotta plug in, you gotta tap in and follow Torch's newsletter and follow us on social media. We announced recently the save the date for our 20th anniversary. So we already have our eyes on next year, and we're doing a big gathering, a gathering of flames, celebrating 20 years of Torch Literary Arts. And that will be here in Austin, Texas. And we want all of you to come and join us. So we'll be posting information that is open to all. Again, of course, our community of Black women writers. Of course, we want our features and fellows to join us there, but also our friends and supporters and anyone who loves incredible literature and creative storytelling. You will not want to miss the 20th anniversary of Gathering of Flames. So do check that out. It's on our website, and you can plug those dates in, save them in, and we'll be announcing more in the fall and early in 2026 headliners, details for registration, and the launch of the Torch Awards. So Torch will now have an awards ceremony that will be annual, and we will be awarding incredible writers across poetry, fiction, creative nonfiction, and script, so plays and screenplays, as well as a legacy award recipient. And again, that's another way that we're able to show up and say your name and amplify your work. And when we know, yes, we are making, we see folks getting Emmys now, we see folks getting some Oscar now, but there's still so much work to do. And I don't believe we have to wait. So let Torch say your name. Let Torch award you and celebrate you. So that will be coming as part of the 20th anniversary, the launch of the Torch Awards. And then something that has not been announced yet. So lucky you tuned in at the right time to hear, but Torch is finally getting our first brick and mortar space. So we will be announcing details about the Torch Center this fall. You will all hear about when it's opening and the ribbon cutting ceremony and the incredible programs that will be happening there. But we deserve to have a space, what Virginia said, room of your own. Right? We need a room of our own. We need a space where we can gather, where we can write, where we can be in community. And I can't wait to welcome you all there. It is going to be a good time. We're going to have a ruckus, joyful time. But we will have our first brick and mortar space, the Torch Center, coming very soon. So with that, thank you so much, everyone, again, for joining us. I want to thank our funders who do feed in to make this work possible. I want to thank the City of Austin Economic Development Division. I want to thank the Berdine Johnson Foundation, the Austin Community Foundation, the Texas Commission on the Arts, and many more individual donors just like you. Consider becoming a community impact member for as little as $10 a month. We're giving some great benefits and perks back for becoming a CIM, but every single bit counts. There's no donation too small or too large, and it all makes this incredible work possible for the last 19 years and so many more to come. So thank you all again for joining us and celebrating 19 years of Torch. Thank you, Amina, Kelly, and Lenelle. You all have a beautiful evening. I look forward to seeing you again very soon at the next Torch event. Good night, everyone.